Okay, so let me check attendance now. I have Esther Asari. I have Nura Panka. We have Osei Juliet Lam, Ebenezer, and Abdul Rashid. These are the 7 students we have in class. We're expecting 28.
24.
Okay, so let's take off. I'm going to begin with the course outline, which I'll send to you immediately after the class. Okay, so that is the course outline. The course outline is to guide us to know exactly what we are doing in class, what we should expect from this course, and also to help us to get access to related materials and books, okay, reference books for this course, which should help us to study even way ahead of the lecturer. Okay, so okay. How we will be tackling and the related resources or materials. So I want to connect the topics to those materials, those reference materials, or the videos. So you can easily go there, go and watch it whilst you are studying that particular topic, or whilst you are preparing for a class. You can watch it ahead of the class. Okay, there are moments too. I'll just ask you to go and watch a whole video on the topic, and when you come, all we are going to do in class is to discuss. Okay, it's not going to be about lecturing in class. We are going to have a discussion in class. So you can see I'm developing. I have some YouTube links on problems, especially on topic 2, and I'm going to do that for all the other weeks, as much as let me say time and resources will permit me. I think it will help. It will basically help us to understand the course. Okay, so now let's take it week by week. Week 1, like we said, concept and definitions. We need to know the scope of official statistics. What is it? What it is not. Okay. Then again, what goes into official statistics? Why official statistics? Who needs official statistics? We need to also know what the challenges of statistics are. Okay, especially when we come to week 2, that is identifying problems of the official statistic itself. Okay, and the challenges in the face of big data. Okay, now we have a lot of data out there, which is very relevant, okay, for decision making. However, our statistical systems or the government producing enough information from this big data? When I talk about big data set, on Twitter you have images, you have small charts, you have small videos on Facebook and all that. These are all information, these are all data, okay, but they are large in size. Are statistical services considering this data? Are they making use of it? Okay, so given the large data set and so many surveys that are coming out from various institutions, okay, how is the official statistic of the state able to cope with it, or what are the challenges, what are the way forward, and the possible, okay, let me say, opportunities that our official statistical systems can make use of. So we need to look at this, and as well as to look at the standard or international standards, okay, which or guidelines which nations must follow to produce of official statistics. Then when we talk about system analysis, yes. So we're going to, basically here, we are going to talk about some economic data sets, okay? And then we look at the trends in the data sets. So for example, employment, data on statistics on employment, statistics on trade, finance, banking, transport, communication. So when you go to finance, we have so many interest rate, etc. Banking, transportation, communication. We need all this information to make decisions. We need to understand them and understand the rules of these various data sets. Then we also examine the statistics available. We look at their trends, which will help us to further go into prediction, okay, modeling and forecasting. That is what we're going to do in section 2. Then in section 3, once we have looked at these various data sets and the various statistics available out there over the past years, we also want to go ahead and then run some analysis, okay, trying to model such data and also look at forecasting techniques we can use. And a typical example of such forecasting techniques we'll be using will be regression analysis and time series analysis. Okay, and that, like I said, would either do it in R or XPSS. Okay, so by the time we get to week 8, you should have the softwares installed on your computer. It is compulsory. Make sure you get your SPSS or your R softwares on your computer. Very important. Whether it's online or face-to-face, we're still going to make use of the software. Okay. Now, then our final module, which is the final thing, will be on index numbers. Like I explained, we are interested in how these various indices are computed. Okay, but as part of this whole study, we are talking about statistics. Hence, there is a need. Very good. So it's the last session of our 4th model. Okay, and that time series, the last section, which is 4.6, very important. Okay, we need to understand how these various research are even conducted. For example, if you want a CPI, what exactly goes into measurement of commodities for the computation of the CPI? These are the serious details, okay, which we need to understand. Assuming you want to work at a statistical service in the prices office, you need to know how they go about their market survey, how they're able to collect data sets from so many markets, okay, to come out and formulate these indices we are talking about. So before we can come out with our indices, there is a lot of data collection that goes on. How do we go about them? How do we conduct this market research? If we are taking information from the fields, let's say agricultural indices, how do we go about them? How do we go to the field to take this data? So we need to really understand these research techniques. And in understanding the research techniques, we also need to understand data collection techniques, which are being employed to develop official statistics. Very good. Now, so this is basically what the course entails, okay? And I don't know if you have any question regarding the introduction so far. If you have any question or anything you want to ask, you can just raise your hand. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. Okay. So in the absence of questions for now, let me continue. So we have our reading materials, which have been stated for you. and I would like to add one or two, okay, extra materials. It wasn't easy identifying books online for this particular course, but I think I had one or two I want to review and add to it, okay, so that you also search online for those materials. Now, when it comes to grading and how do we call it, plagiarism rules of the university and all that, I think you are very familiar with those, okay? So I wouldn't want to spend too much time on those aspects, even though I'm going to include it on your course outline for you. Okay, so we expect that you do a very honest work. This is a university environment, and we don't want plagiarism. We don't want anybody copying from anyone. Okay, so please take note of that. And one way I try to award students who do a honest job is to try and select some few questions from our assignments, okay, into the exams, which means that if you sincerely did your assignments, then you should also be able to pass my examination and pass well, right? But if you decided to get somebody to do the assignment for you, then on the exams day, you also find yourself wanting, okay? That will be judgment day for you. So please just do an honest job when you are given an assignment. Then again, upon recommendations, I would like to also speak to one of my former bosses at the statistical service. That he was the head of prices section. So I'll try and link up with him if we could have a visit, maybe a visit to statistical service, and a little time of his to try and educate us on how data is collected for CPI and all that, and how they go about computing various indices, national indices, as official statistics for us. Okay, so I'm working on that. Once I get a go ahead, I'll inform you. Okay, so that is it for the course introduction, what we should expect within the next 14 weeks of studies. Now, before we go to this class, let me pause my recording for now. Okay. So we begin with lecture 1. My name is Hobby Michael Asamani. Yeah, so like we saw earlier, okay, these are the learning objectives for today's class. Basically, we are looking at concepts. We want to look at the scope of official statistics, what official stats is all about, what official stat is and what it is not. Okay, that is what we are looking at today. Then also try to look at the principal, okay, subject of official stats. When I say that, I mean those who primarily, okay, make use of official stats. Then we'll also be comparing methods of data collection. So at the end of the day, we should be able to define our scope, uses of official stats, uses of official stats, and we should be able to also discuss the various data collection methods available or employed, okay, in collecting official statistics, and also identify some problems when it comes to the use of even official statistics, some challenges that come along with it. Okay. So when we talk of official stats, what is it? It's basically, I think I'm getting a feedback. Michael. Okay, so let's continue. So official statistics is any numerical information collected by the central, okay, government or provincial government or local government. When I say provincial, I'm talking about either on the regional level or on a district level, okay? Then we also have government, various government departments, okay? For example, Ministry of Finance, we talk about Ministry of Health, we talk about, we have various ministries, okay, and departments, okay, and other authorized agencies, and published as. So we collect this information from all these areas. We look at on the central level, provincial level. So for example, we are taking data from district education offices on the number of schools that have been built, on the enrollment of students in the basic school, okay, on attrition rates in the basic school, number of teachers available to teach, the class sizes in schools. Then when we leave the education field, you come to medical field, we are taking data, okay, on hospital bed utilization, number of health workers, okay, doctors, nurses. We talk about number of admissions into the hospital, let's say the number of accidents, health related issues. Okay, for example, the number of ambulances available. So we have so many data that is taken at various levels. And this data is collected on, continually at district levels, at regional levels, and at national levels, okay? And usually when data is taken at the very lower level, which is at the local level, all the way to the district, that information is passed on to regional, and then it is finally sent to the central, okay, or the national level, where that information is scrutinized before it is what? It is published. Okay, so we are saying that it is numerical information which is collected by the central government, provincial or local government, government departments, and other authorized agencies, and published as official reports. Okay, very important. It is published as an official report on these main areas on the social, economic, and environmental conditions and various activities within the country. So the issues we are talking about basically are social issues. When we talk about social issues, we are talking about issues of demography, issues of how do we call it, male, female issues, the age of people in the country, how many youths do we have, how many children do we have, how many children of school going age do we have in the country, and how many are attending school and how many are not. We need all this information. Then how many females do we have, how many males do we have? Among the females, how many are married, how many are not married? Among females, how many are working and how many are not working? And those who are employed, what percentage are earning between what what salary ranges? We need all this information to be able to make sense out of what is going on socially, economically, environmentally. So when we talk about issues of economy, we are talking about issues of how much people are earning, minimum wage. We talk about issues of your inflation rate. We talk about producer indexes, okay? How much are the producers taking for what commodity? So we need to know all these ones. When we talk about environmental issues too, we are talking about water, we are talking about forestry, we are talking about logging issues, we are talking about weather conditions, so many issues, okay? Use of resources within the environment. We need all this information to make decisions, okay, within the country. And other various activities. We want to know which sectors people are employed to, what are the employment rates in the country, which groups of people have been employed, which groups have not been employed, how many university graduates do we have who are unemployed. So, okay, Esther has a hand up. Yeah,
Yes,
Esther, yes.
please, your slides, it's not scrolling, only page 1. We are just seeing only the slide 1.
Yes, I'm still on slide 1.
The slide 1, it's only your name and the department.
Oh, okay. Is it scrolling now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, let me stop and then start again.
Okay.
So this is where the whole definition I was talking about, okay, this is where I was dwelling. So when I talk about official stats, we are talking about numerical information collected from various authorized agencies by the government. And then once they are collected, they are published as an official report on the social, economic, and environmental conditions and activities in the country. Okay, good. Now moving on. Any questions on this point? So if you have any question, you raise your hand whilst I move on. Or if you have any contribution too, okay? Yeah, it's I prefer to have a more interactive class. So if you have any question, any contribution or any observation you've made somewhere, you want to chip it in so that we discuss, you can bring it up. Don't wait till the lecture is over. Okay. Now on the next term, users of official statistics. Okay. So when we talk about official statistics, before I go on to the users of official stats, we need to understand what official statistics is not. Okay, so if you are asked to use, or your boss asks you to run modeling or prediction, okay, using inflation rates or using hospital data, and then you decide official hospital data, and then you decide to refer to medical reports from hospitals or inpatient records from the hospitals. That is hospital data, but that is not official statistics. Okay, because when we talk about official stats, the data that is collected right from our local hospitals are verified by statisticians. Okay, they are verified at the next level. So if it's from the local level, it goes to the district level. At the district level, there's a district statistician who will verify that information. Then data from the district level plus the data from the local level, which is taken to the next level, which is the regional, We also have statisticians which will also verify that information. Okay, whether it satisfies the conditions and the criteria of the government and even the standard rules and guidelines for official statistics before it is sent to the national level. At the national level, to this too is going to be the data or the statistics that have been sent to the national level will also be scrutinized. So it goes through various stages of scrutiny to come out as an official information. Let me put it that way. Okay, so I'm using official information as official statistics, just for you to understand. So before you have the inflation rate out there, it's been verified from one level to the other because data is collected right from the local level. Local statisticians have to go to the field, go and take measurements. Let's say if it's a commodity like yam, we have to take the measurement of the yam on a standard measurement tool. Okay, so this is being done. And don't forget there are so many markets in the country. So various prices will be taken from various centers across the country. And then once this information is taken all the way up to the next level, on the district level, the districts is also going to check whether this information is consistent, because there are situations where you have prices from various, let's say, markets within the same district, okay, varying very much. So you go to this market, a nearby market is selling yam as a 10 cedis per kilo or per gram, and then you go to the next market, and then they are selling yam for 20 cedis. So the disparities are going to be too much within even the district level. You see, so this needs to be carefully scrutinized, taken to the regional, then all districts within the region will also be scrutinized for disparities and variation, then taken to national, which means at the national level, they're also going to check for regional differences before they finally conclude. Because if you are looking at the inflation rates on or the CPI on yam, when you take that particular commodity, the CPI represents what? It's a national figure, so it should reflect all the way to the local level. Hence the need for what? That scrutiny. Even though in some countries, I think recently Ghana has started producing the CPI on regional basis. Okay, we have that for regional basis, but we are still lacking in the district inflation, the district CPI, consumer price index, and the local level. That is not being what? Published. So there is need for us to know that when you take information at the local level and you just assume that it is official statistics, it is not. The fact that it is coming from a regional data, okay, does not mean it is official until it is published. It is not what? An official statistic. And if it is published by who? It should be published by an authority, okay, assigned by the government to publish official statistics in the areas of social, economic, and other related areas. Very important. Any question on that point? Can I have a question on that point? Hello, class.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
Can I have a question there on the point of what is not official stats? Can we have some discussions?
Say,
Yes.
please, you made mention of some people who are authorized to publish before it becomes official. So
Yes.
please, who are those people?
So we have the Ghana Statistical Service has been authorized to publish official statistics on various aspects of our economy. That is the main agency. Then again, when you go to the Ministry of Finance, they have a department of statistics too. Okay, so such agencies, when they publish data on finance, related to finance, they are an authorized body by the government. You understand? So the police, by reason of their authority, cannot just publish data on number of road accidents in the country. No. Okay, we have areas where you can, in fact, when we'll look at those challenges when we get there. We have areas too, like birth and death. We have the birth and death registry. They have also been authorized to collect those official documents. So if you want statistics on the number of deaths in a year or in a month, that is where you should find that information. But if you just go to any other center and go and collect birth and death information, that is not official until it's been published by the authorized agency in charge. That information is not an official stat. Information on health will be published by the Ministry of Health, but you cannot go for information from, let's say, one regional hospital, 37 military hospital, and say that this is official statistics because this is a well-known hospital. The same way, you cannot even make use of data from an NGO or from any international organization, because even though they've collected their data using reliable standards, that may not conform with the standards of the nation, and for that matter, the specific standards for official statistics in that country. So you cannot use information produced by other USAID or some NGO as an official statistics. You need to fall on the recognized government agency or authorized government statistic department to get access to that official statistics. Yes, Sammy? Sammy, your hand is up. Sammy Nketia, your hand is up. Samuel. Samuel, we didn't hear you. Can you come back? Or if you could type too, we are not hearing your voice. So if you can type, I think it will be helpful. Yeah, so let's move on to the next point whilst we wait for Samuel's issue. Now, we are saying that people who make use or users of official statistics are, in fact, the number one consumer of official statistics is the government itself. Okay, because government needs this information for policy making and for routine administrative controls. Okay, so when we talk about routine administrative control, we are talking about decisions which are taken on day-to-day matters. Okay, on day-to-day matters, we need information. Let's say if it's on health, we want, or yes, let's use the recent, in December, we saw a lot of campaign and the introduction of a new policy on driving, driving regulations, okay, to avoid accidents in the country. So we saw a lot of education. Why? Because we realized that statistics, the statistics on a number of accidents indicate that in December we have a peak, okay, of accident rates. And then these were also based on classification for the various vehicles that are being used, okay? And at the point we realized that over 30% of accidents which were recorded were were based on this normal motor accidents. Normal motor accidents. So even though they are singular or just two people or one person, at the end of the day, they were accounting for about 30% of all accidents within what that particular time of the year. And we all know exactly what the issue is. So immediately there had to be what? An administrative decision which had to be taken to educate people, okay, and to put the police out there to check one or two things, okay, to ensure that our accident rate drop. Then again, there was a policy that was implemented, okay, introduction of what? A new regulation on driving. So there has been new regulations. Once you are getting to a zebra crossing, you need to slow down. If you don't slow down, you knock somebody with the cameras all around. This time, your punishment is going to be more. You understand? So government needs official statistics for day-to-day running of activities of government business, and then for also policy making. Policy making, like the introduction of a policy, a basic policy like food, planting for food and jobs. Okay, planting for food and jobs is coming against the background of challenges in the production of food. And then we're getting to a point where even though Ghana used to be an agrarian, let's say, nation, okay, at a point we had just about, it was just contributing to about 30%, as in 2019, 30% of what? Our GDP. Okay, which means that we were importing, in fact, as at now, we are even a net importer of food or of agricultural products. So we are not producing that much. Hence, the country had to introduce what? The planting for food and job policies, where the nation decides to subsidize for fertilizers so that the farmers could get more yields and better yields, so people can get more interested. Once they export more, they get more what? Foreign exchange, and the country is also what? Gets more foreign exchange to stabilize what? The city. Okay, so we need all this information: how much crops are being produced from the farms, okay, how the utilization of our farmlands, okay, both for temporal, for permanent crop, for livestock, for our forestry department, and so on and so forth. When it goes to agriculture, when it goes to medicine, we monitor, especially with maternal mortality rates. We always want to check. We don't want mothers to go to the labor ward and not come back again. So we always have to check bed utilization, nurses to attend to these mothers for delivery, and so forth and so on. Then we can also make policies and routine what? Administrative decisions. Now, I do not want to assume that everybody understands the word policy. So I'll put out there, when we talk about policy, we mean a plan of action to guide decisions and achieve predetermined goals. So we sit down and strategize, set out clear objectives and try to meet them. Okay, we try and meet them. That is what we call as a policy. Once we set out our plan, we should be able to meet it. So we sit down and say that at a point in time, we do not want to see any mother go to a hospital and then in labor we have to transfer that mother to another hospital just because there is no bed, okay, for delivery. So we can sit down as a nation based on the statistics we have and say that, look, we have to build this number of hospitals and make available these facilities, and if possible, also introduce technology to capture our expectant mothers, so that at the time, okay, of delivery, a computer can easily regulate and connect to whoever is available and make recommendations on which hospital to even go for, because we have a free hospital bed there. These are things that we can introduce by reason of the statistics we collect. Okay, let's go to the next point. The next user of statistic is individual users. And when we talk about individual users, we are talking about various businessmen. When we talk about businessmen, to businessmen in so many areas, okay, in the petroleum industry, in the education industry, in the services industry, in let's say wholesale industry, particularly if you're a businessman or a businesswoman, when inflation rates go up, when prices of things go up, that is when you want to sell more, because that is when prices have gone up. And then when the inflation rates drop and there is a more stable currency, that is when you want to purchase things. So businessmen will need information on the CPI, the inflation rate, so that they can determine and purchase goods when inflation is low. And then when prices go up, that is when they sell their goods so they can make more profits. You understand? For businessmen. Then we go to farmers. We also need information, okay, on cash crops, how they are performing on the international market, and so on and so forth. So they can also decide, well, this year I want to produce this. Okay. Then again, once farmers realize the shortfalls in crop production, maybe we are having excessive yield for rice in the country, right? And we know from Economics 101, once the supply is more and the demand is low, then it means that prices will come down. So if there is more rice in the system or in the nation, and the demand for rice is low, then why the need to farm more rice? Okay, so we may have to go into other kind of farming to satisfy what the demand of people in the country, and to also get more money from that. So farmers also need these statistics. Again, the prices of commodities in various markets also inform them as to prices they are going to demand for their raw materials or their products. Okay, so for those in the agrarian sector, they need this information also to make decisions. Then again, politicians will always talk about inflation rates, do a comparison of inflation rates, and come and tell us this is how well the country is going. Then based on that too, we are going to have what decisions, okay, on the economy, like interest rates. Okay, when we go for loans from the bank, what is the interest rate policy? Okay, and these ones are always based on our CPIs and the inflation rate, etc., on our GDP and etc. Okay, they inform political decisions that are also what made. Then educationists also need this information. We need to know the number of enrollments per regional level. If enrollments are low, then businessmen or private entities could also set in and establish their businesses. Again, educational sector will need this information to know how well we're always collecting data on the number of chairs in the schools, the number of people per class, number of teachers per class, to tell the average number of students in class. Then again, educationists at the upper level particularly need this information for prediction and understanding how trends are going. And also for education, we need to teach if inflation rate, what is inflation rate, how are the trends, what are the future, what does the future behold? Okay, then again, we need this official statistics for research. Educationists need official statistics for research. So if we want to research into issues, we will need official statistics apart from our own national service. If we want reliable information, then we have to fall on official statistics. Then finally, students also need official statistics for their learning purposes, for their research, and for many other agenda. The third group of people who need official statistics are the media. Okay, they are the first people who make available the platform for announcement of inflation rates and CPIs and all that, and they will come asking for those questions. Okay, so media needs it to publish or report to inform the public on the state of a particular sector. Okay, then again to make advocacy for changes in policy. So the media will make noise and advocate for changes in policies when they realize that statistics on some sectors are going low or going extremely high. Okay, they need the statistics to also intervene on existing policies and also advance changes for new policies, okay, which will be beneficial to the country. We also have international agencies, UN, UNAIDS, FAO, all are interested in the official statistics of the country. I remember at the point when this COVID issue came up, I think just after the first case was recorded in Ghana, some few days later, there was a conflict on the number of cases, new cases recorded in the country on the WHO and the Ghana Ministry of Health sites. Okay, yes, so immediately it had to be corrected on WHO platform, because that is not official. They may have their own people on the ground taking information, but as long as it is not official, it is not official. Official statistics is published data from the government, meaning it's secondary data also from the government. You need to pick it from the government, else it is not official statistics. That's what we are saying. So it doesn't matter whether you are WHO or the USAID or what. No. The information needs to come from the government. That is when it is official. Then we have what? Yes, and again, these international agencies need it to run comparison of progress which are made, okay, particularly in reference to the Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals, and all that. We want to see whether the goals in health, in education, and other sectors have been met in terms of environment, whether we are keeping a clean environment and a sustainable environment. Our health, education, we should have free access to quality education for all. How far have we gone with that? So there are indices that are taken from time to time to compare the progress that has been made in one state as compared to the other. Then we can easily rank and say that, okay, Ghana is at this level, these people have also moved to this level. Then based on that, loans and grants and aids are also made available to countries. Okay, so anytime we're going for loans, you hear issues of GDP, okay, in the country, and to find out interest rates, etc. Okay, before a government goes for loans, you always hear it in parliament, them debating. Okay, yes, because you can't just go out there. Nobody's going to give you loan when you are not doing well. You are not making any progress in any of the various sectors, measurable, let's say measurable goals, okay, which the international world also wants to see a country moving on. So if you are not doing well in various areas, there is no way you are going to get an aid for your country. So these international organizations and agencies also need information for their decision taking. Now, like we said, if we're talking about statistics, then we first of all deal with data. Now, in data, we need to talk about data collection, and we need to recap or refresh our memories on some of the key data collection methods which are employed, okay, to take reliable data for analysis and for publishing as official statistics. Now, the main methods which are employed in taking data for official statistics are one, interviews. And by way of interviews, we can have face-to-face interviews or field or what we call as personal interviews. Face-to-face is where the person comes to your home or comes to your office and then interviews you on a set of words. It can be structured, it can be semi-structured, it can be what? Non-structured interviews. Okay, so you are asked on various questions to explore your views on issues and to know how things are going. Then we can also have telephone interviews where we only need to pick a phone, make an arrangement prior to that, pick a phone, call our respondent, and then they give us the information we need. We'll be looking at those into details. Then we also have the second method, which is measurement. Measurement, as the name sounds, means you need a tool, okay? You need a tool to measure. So if we want to measure the amount of crop, okay, or we want to know the quantity of a particular food commodity or a commodity in our consumer basket, okay, good. So a commodity like rice, we want to find out how much 1 kilo of rice is going for. Then we need to go to the market and then measure it with a standard kilo instrument, okay? That will give us the correct measurement of that item or of that variable with its corresponding what? Price, okay? So we also do measurements. Then again, we have the physical observations or inspection. So physical observation, let's say we want the farmlands available. Usually we have problems with the area of farmlands in the country, okay, to estimate the crop yields from various mixed farms or single farms. One way we can go and find out how large the area of a farming land is to go and observe. So with a very experienced person, he can tell you, oh, this will be about 2 hectares or about 2 acres of land, okay, by just observing or inspecting the situation, physical observation. Good. Now we'll look at it. We'll look at its advantages and its disadvantages. Self-enumeration, questionnaires, okay, good. So sometimes we can ask people to, when we talk about self-enumeration, meaning the person is providing the response themselves. So you give them a questionnaire to fill, and then they provide you the answers. I remember when we were going for producer price indices, especially in the industries, we go with a design questionnaire. Okay, once you drop it off, then they are going to tell you the prices, the production price, okay, for, let's say, pipes, for the various items we've listed, which are relevant to that particular industry, okay? So they are going to tell you that one item goes for this. They will give you the range of items so that that information is now carried back to the statistical office as our data to compute what? The producer price indices. So you go to the field, you go to the industries and then administer those questionnaires. And it is mandated, you see, by law for those companies to produce the correct information. It is mandatory because we are coming from what? A mandated government institution who have been assigned to take data on behalf of what? The government. So they make use of self-enumeration, and then this self-enumeration means information must be what? Reported in that form. So we can also have information on account book, online inquiries, like these are telecommunication networks and all that. They have to produce information, okay, based on this online inquiries, etc. They are all self-enumeration. Then we also have extraction from administrative records, okay? So if we want information of inpatient, out of patient, on any kind of diseases or any kind of issues from the hospitals, we make reference to these hospital record books. Okay, that is what comes all the way up to the national level, and that is where we compute the malaria mortality rates, malaria incidence, prevalence, and all that on diseases. The same way, if we want statistics on death, statistics on birth, they are all based on administrative records that are taken on daily basis. Okay, cool. So we can extract this information from the administrative records of various companies. Now let's go on to look at these five data collection tools. Know what they are, know their limitations. When I talk about limitation, I mean in terms of the advantages and their disadvantages. Then again, our advice, if you have any question, you can ask. You don't have to wait till we end the lecture. Okay, so when we talk about interviews, like we said, interviews can be face-to-face or by telephone interviews, okay? And usually for face-to-face, in fact, in both, we can record. Just as sometimes in telephones, it becomes a bit difficult to record, but it can be recorded. In face-to-face interviews, because the interviews could be structured or structured, and sometimes in the course of the interview, even the interviewer could forget some of the responses provided. It is best to record. You record the information. Now we have phones which can easily be used to do recording. So you question the person, then listen to the person's response, and then record. And once you are done with the recording or with the interview, you label it appropriately, okay? And then later you transpose the information for further analysis, okay? Good. Then we also have, so we are saying that is interviews. The next one has to do with measures. Okay, these are just definitions for the various measurements methods. So measurements, I think I've explained it already, where you physically estimate what the quantities. Inspection is without measuring equipment. I think I explained this already. Self-enumeration too, I talked about it. That is when the person fills their own forms. Extraction from our administrative records, so I've talked about that. That is where we cover, okay, we use administrative records to cover all ways of information the statistician needs. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to talk about. In face-to-face or field interviews, some of the advantages, like I was explaining, is first, because you are talking to the person one-on-one, there is a very high probability that your interviewees are going to answer your questions, okay? But you need to take note. You have to pre-schedule the interview. You don't just show up because you're a government institution and you want to take data. No, you need to inform them, or they have to be informed that periodically this kind of interview could take place. This is a study you are coming to do. You need it on monthly terms. So once you are going, they should be informed, okay? Then you are going to get a high reliability. Then once you go and it's face-to-face, there is a high possibility of getting response from the individual, because you are there and you are asking the person. Now, the next advantage is if you ask a question or pose a question and this person does not understand, your interviewee does not understand, you can easily explain the concept to the person so you can receive what? An answer or an accurate response. The third point related to the second is more accurate information is provided due to the enumerator's what? Presence, because you are available to explain the concept and terms. Then your interviewee or your respondent will provide what? More accurate information. Okay. Then finally, we also have visual material to which the respondent is able to react can be presented. So if you are there face to face, you can, if there are any visual materials, you can what? Present it for the person to respond to it. Okay, very good. Now, disadvantages. The presence of the interviewer can also be a distraction. Okay, the presence of the interviewer can also be a distraction. So your presence, sometimes when we, in fact, in normal service, when you are even going to interview a person, let's say students, and you are, I mean, not appropriately what? Dressed or overdressed. Sometimes the responses that you get from your respondents may be a bit biased. They are a bit reserved with the answers that they may be giving you. Okay. So your presence as an interviewer, if the rapport is not well established, okay, may lead to what? To falsification of responses or some unreliability of the responses that is given. Then another thing which is very key with field interviews is it's very expensive. It is very expensive. Now, expensive in what sense? If you have to meet every individual, you will need to take a car, travel, and go and interview the person back and forth. Now, in terms of time, it is not economical. You will need more time. Maybe a day, you may interview just about 2 people, okay, or 2 organizations. So it is very, very expensive. Okay. Now, when we talk about complex organizational structure, it is not also easy getting access to everybody what in the organization. You need a boss that you may be directed to speak to HR because boss is not available. You understand? Hey. So the complex organizational structure can also limit you as to who responds to what your interview. Then this is also related to the very first one. Now, invasion of privacy and loss of confidentiality. If the interviewer is known by the respondent prior to the survey. So if I know you and I don't have much confidence in you, okay, when you interview me regarding my business operations, I may not give you the correct response. So this is what this is saying. It's related to the first. So the personal influence could also come into being. So in such a case, it is better you administer another tool than to what? Use a field interview, because your responses provided would be biased. The fact that you are mandated to take the data does not mean necessarily you will get what? The right information. Okay, let me cite a typical example. So during our previous or just the recent National Housing Survey, okay, some of the questions they ask you will be what is your educational level? What job do you do? How many cars do you have? How many rooms are available in your home? Is your room tiled? Is this? Now, if the respondent or the interviewer who came, you look at the physique, you look at the posture, in fact, the way the person is even talking, you examine the person carefully and you don't have confidence in such a person. I don't think you'll be too open to tell the person that I have 10 laptops, I have 4 cars, my room is tiled. No. You are not sure. Even though it's a government agency and you are required to provide that answer, you are not confident that this answer you are giving would be held confidential. Somebody, I remember there was a time where prior to that same survey, there were concerns, a lot of concerns of people's information going to be leaked, and other people in the community might end up robbing them or something. Okay. And if you don't take time, some of these perceptions could easily affect what the responses provided by these individuals. Because if you ask him what work does he do, and he's a doctor or a professor, he might tell you, I'm a lecturer. You get it. So the right information may not be given. That is what some of the challenges that come along with what field interviews. Okay. Now, any question on this? I'm sure we were all interviewed during the recent what housing survey, the national census. So we all have experiences. Some may even have been field what personnel. Then telephone inquiry. Telephone inquiry serves the same purpose as face-to-face, but the issue here is usually this one is through phone calls. Okay, so we make an arrangement and then call, and it's very quick because you don't have to be traveling. The time you have to travel all the way to conduct the interview is catered for by just a call. Okay, good. And it's relatively very inexpensive. By making a 1 minute call covers everything than traveling 3 hours and then going to have a 1 minute interview and traveling 3 hours back. Okay, that is why it is very inexpensive. It's quick, inexpensive, and can cover a wide area. So we can call a number of companies, okay, in Accra, in Northern region, without having to take a car all the way to Northern region to interview anyone. Now, disadvantages. Sensitive questions cannot be asked in this type of survey. So when the question is quite sensitive, how much do you earn? Okay. The person might get irritated by such questions and give you wrong answers, or even further not continue the interview. Okay, so sensitive questions are not cannot be best administered using what telephone inquiries. Again, detailed data, when you have a lot of questions to ask and you have to do everything through phone call, sometimes respondents get irritated, okay, because they don't have the time to spend, as compared to being there present. Sometimes people give that regard for the fact that you've traveled all the way and come and you are with them and you are chatting. They don't even recognize that it is past 5 minutes of interview. But if you conduct a telephone interview for past 2 minutes, people get irritated. Okay, and may tell you they are busy. So we are likely to face challenges when it comes to what lengthy interviews or lengthy inquiries, okay, in telephone administration or telephone inquiry. Then we also have field measurement. We've talked about field measurements. Field measurement is where you use an instrument, a standard instrument, to take measurements of a variable or of an item to know the exact quantity and the price associated to it. Not necessarily price, but it could be the exact quantity or the exact dimension of an item. So in agriculture, one major challenge we have is estimating what the agricultural lands that we have in the country, because of this our land tenure system. Okay, so we are not even able to tell the quantity of lands we have for us to even estimate the amount of use we can have prior to harvest. We are not able to do that. Okay, good. So there are now we have new methods like the GIS methods and even the GPRS techniques, which make use of what? Satellite information, satellite data. Okay, so those information are based on big data information. Okay, so we can easily capture the geometric area of these are farms. Okay, and if such technologies are not even available, we can also go to the field and then use a manual way of estimation using devices. In computation of economic variables, let's say for CPI, for example, I did mention we have to go to the field. We have field collectors who go to the markets, buy, let's say, 1 kilo of yam, and then measure it, buy 1 kilo of rice, measure it. So for every kilo of rice, we have the corresponding price. That is what is taken up to the offices. Yes, to the districts and then to the regional offices. Okay, good. So we are saying that advantages. Sometimes there are the refusal by people, okay, and non-cooperation can be kept to the minimum. Why? Because you are there. If I want to measure, obviously I'll buy. You even want me to buy your product and measure it. You understand? So people are willing to allow you to watch, to measure. Now, if you ask a farmer for the land size of his farm, there are a lot of things that will go through his mind. Okay, but as a field expert, once you go to the field and you do the measurement yourself, they will be willing to assist you to even get the dimensions. That's what we are talking about here. Now, results are not influenced by what? Enumerators prejudice. Because here you are using a standard instrument, you cannot introduce any biasness into what? The information that is collected or the statistics that is recorded. It is information recorded with a standard tool. Okay, so the enumerator cannot introduce any form of prejudice or any form of biasness into the data. Now, the next point, produce are very reliable data because measurement is taken by what? Trained and experienced staff using appropriate what? Equipment. So not everybody takes the data. We need standard measurements. So the field experts that go to the field have been trained to take such data, which means that we are very sure that the data recorded is what? Reliable. Now, the time of visits may be critical. The timing for visitation may be very what? Critical. It's very important. So on a day when somebody has not received sales, that is not when you want to go measuring their crops or their product in the market. Okay, so if it's a market day, fine, everybody is coming. But on a day when things are not going well, you have to be. And again, to avoid this, you need to what? Pre-inform such markets, okay, or such people where you take your data from. They need to be pre-informed that, oh, every month enumerators or field officers will come to do this kind of data collection. It's very important. Then we also have, it can be expensive or complex equipment may be required. So here the expense has to do with what? The equipment that are being deployed. Not only with the equipment, but with the training of the field officers. That is where the cost goes in. Yes, of course, we may have to spend something on transporting to the market and all that, but it's not as much as interviews. An interview means you have to go to just one company, okay, travel back. But here, when you go to one market, you can survey rice, you can have a number of what? food items on the markets. You understand? So it is less expensive when it comes to the interviews. Okay. Then the next point is cost per return are likely to be relatively high. Okay, especially when considerable travel is what involved. This one I think is very clear. If we have to travel a lot, then certainly the cost will be high. But as compared to interview, it will not be, because here, once you travel to one market, you can get a lot of information. Okay, unlike the interview. So comparatively, even though this is high, comparatively, this is better. And again, when it comes to field measurements, there are field collectors in every district and every region. You see, we have field collectors by the various statistical offices who go to the various markets to take data for them, or go to the various companies, production company, the industries, and the services sectors within their district to take the data. So that also beats down the cost of what? Going for the data itself. But what we are sure of is field measurement gives us exact data. It gives exact data. Now, field observation. Results can generally be made available more quickly than with other methods. Here, we don't need any instrument, okay? And we don't need instrument, but we need we need experience, okay? Before you can look at it and just give us, let's say, the estimate of the farmland or the estimate of cocoa fruits that has been produced, okay, or harvested, you need to be well experienced, okay? So it is very quick. You are not measuring anything. You are not picking all the cocoa pods and putting them in a sack to measure. But by just looking at the amount that is gathered, we can say, oh, this is about 25 kilos. That's what we are saying. So it is quick. But as you can see, it is not very reliable. Costs are lower than when accurate measurements are required. Then again, inspection may be made without involving what? All respondents. You only need one or two persons, to experienced people, to take a look, and then they can tell you what is happening. So when I see a bag of rice out there, I can tell this is 45 kilos without measuring. I can tell this is it, and this is how much it will cost without even measuring and asking for the price. But this will not be accurate. It comes with respondents, bias, and prejudices. So disadvantage, the information collected is only approximate at best and can vary largely. Okay, it can vary because based on the experience of the observer, large errors can be made. Results can be seriously affected by bias. This bias is coming from what? The observer himself. Then again, we have what? When I say the observer, I mean the field personnel. Okay. Then comparability of data is likely to be what? To be poor. I'm more experienced. The response I provided, or the data that I provided, is more accurate than somebody's data. So if the two of us go to the same market, to the same market woman, we may end up giving what? Wrong estimates, different estimates. I mean, that is what we are talking about. Then we have self-enumeration. Self-enumeration, I think I've talked about this a lot, where we complete the data ourselves. There are advantages and disadvantages to these methods. Are quick. You can get information very fast. Okay. You can leave it and come at any time. So it helps to improve reliability. But sometimes, like any questionnaire, some sections are left out because somebody may not want to provide what the information or may not get time to provide it, but it should be provided. We usually don't leave it there. When we want producer prices, you provide the questionnaire, and if we leave it, then it means we are going to the next factory and then come back for the questionnaire. We don't leave it there. So it is very quick. It is very quick. We get accurate answers to an extent. One disadvantage is the fact that you may not be there. You may not be there whilst the respondent is answering to explain some concept. However, if you get there and explain all the items and the questions on the questions on the questionnaire, then you are sure to improve what on the response, the reliability of the responses, which will be what provided. So we have shortfalls and then how to address them. Okay. Then if somebody fails to provide a response to a question, you can on the spot identify and then give it back, re-administer it to get your response. That is when you are present. But if you send it through email or send it by some other method, sometimes it's difficult to re-administer the questionnaire. Okay, good. We also have other methods of data collection. We talked about here, I think I've talked about the mail questionnaire, and we also have extraction from administrative records, okay, where we take inpatient, outpatient records, we take information from account books, we take information on number of marriages that have been broken down in the past 6 months. We talk about death, we talk about rare births, we talk about mobilities, we talk about number of travels from the country, okay, and those who have come back to the countries. These are all at various sectors and assigned agencies have administrative oversight of such records for the country, and we can easily get that information from their administrative records. Okay, so basically the methods we've talked about are classified into three main types. We are talking about, if we want to classify them, then we can classify them as field interviews and observations, self-enumeration, where the person gives you information on their own. Then the third one is extracting from administrative records, where you go to records which have been there, and then we take daily information, okay, on various subjects. We are able to extract that information from administrative records. But when it comes to field interviews, observations, and measurements, respondents, how do we call it? Field experts go to the field, okay, to observe. At least we observe. We make some interactions with the interviewee or the respondent, okay? So there is always an interaction to get the information. But self-enumeration, you just pass on the questionnaire and then they fill it for you. And extracting of information, here you have to go into the record books of the agencies and then take such information. Okay, so data collection procedure, I think I'll leave it off here, okay, as to the procedures that are taken before field personnel go to the field to take data. Here we will be talking about issues of training and key things we need to watch out for. Let me just touch on the first two slides, and I'll take some questions from you before we end today's session. So data collection procedures, field procedures. When we talk about field procedures, we are saying that it begins with the training session of field workers prior to what? The field workers. Prior to the field work. So if we want field workers to go and take prices for us, or to go and take measurement for us, we need to train them on the instrument they are going to use, okay, and then how to go about with such measurements before they go to the field to avoid taking of what? Wrong data. In fact, there should even be a training on how to interact with people. Like this recent census, there was a training for all field workers on how to interact, what to do, how to explain things, how to even present yourself, okay? Because once you get to some community and you are not properly dressed, nobody is going to respond to you. So you need training. You need training on how to relate, how to talk, how to get your data, okay? I recall very well that the interviewer who came more or less had a face that looked like the person was fighting me. You get it? Yeah, and I just studied the face. I said, "Oh, you are here to take data from me, and you are not smiling, and you don't want to establish rapport. You think in the first place you get reliable data from your respondents." So these are some of the questions that will come up if your field workers are not well trained, okay? They will end up taking inaccurate information for you. And don't forget, we need this information to compute statistics which will represent the entire country. So if at the very bottom level, at the grassroots level, our field workers are making mistakes, then you as the officer in the approved agency, you'll be working with wrong what? Data in the first place, which means that you may use the right methods, but at the end of the day, you get wrong information or wrong statistics from the country. Okay. Yes. If you have any question, you can ask. Somebody's microphone is on. Yes, Samuel.
Hello, sir. Sir, am I loud?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm talking about the chain of or the line of communication where you started first.
Yes.
We often hear politicians, they know where they can get those informations, and then you hear them disputing and then coming up with their own figures, especially data connected with the economic situation of the country.
Yeah.
This one will say the country is this, and the other one will come and say it is this and that. Say this, and often actually, to when you go to those various sectors like district, up to even the region or whatever, you will not find a proper statistician there. There are some representatives of statisticians. They will tell you they are the statistician, but
Regional
they don't have statistics background. They don't have statistics background, and they are there. So this information, say, how valid are they?
I think for you see, this happens in the various departments. So, for example, you may end up in district education service. You're looking for statistics on number of teachers within the district and other parameters related to schools. And then, yes, and the district, Priscilla, your mic is on, and the district statistician is not even well trained. You understand? I have witnessed such a scenario before. Okay, yes, but let's say that even though we have been slow at this, The very fact that now our institutions are even recognizing the need for statisticians is a major step. So they are not well trained, but in the past we didn't have them at all. So the effort is being made, even though it's at a slow pace. The effort is being made, and what is happening is now they are putting the structures in place. The questionnaires have been designed from the central point and then passed on to the districts. So even if they are not very sound at statistics, they know what data they have to collect and give to the regional office. So that is the little thing I have also experienced from certain fields, okay? But when it comes to statistical service, information they get, they actually train their field personnel very well before they go to the field, because they are the I think the mother, the official, okay, the official tool for official statistics, even though there are other approved agencies. So for statistical service, their personnel are properly trained. From time to time, there are workshops. Okay, I remember those days I was there. Even the rebasing of or changing of the items of the commodities in the consumer basket, we had to hold close to like 1 to 2 weeks workshop, okay, where we had to agree on certain things based on field surveys that have been conducted. So they do very intensive work to come out with relevant material. We can't be 100% correct though, but as much as possible, there is intensive work done at all levels to make sure that this information are truly reflected, although it cannot be perfect. Okay, any other question? Oh, class, you can't be quiet like this. I don't think this subject is an entirely new area. At least one of us, we've come across it. So let's get some questions. Let's have some questions, please. Don't expect that I'm going to ask my question verbatim from the slides. So you need to ask questions. Yes, Esther.
Hey.
Yes.
Hello, say.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go, please come again with your question. Adams. I think while Esther is having challenges, Adams, you can present your question.
Sir, good evening.
Yeah, evening, Adam.
So please, for now, I don't have any questions, but as we get along with the course, I might be asking more questions.
Okay, maybe let me make myself clear. Today I'm marking you based on the questions you asked in class. So maybe everybody will have to ask a question.
Okay, so let me reorganize my thoughts there.
Very good. Christian, your question. Christian, I've unmuted you. Your question. Okay, Esther, we are still waiting for you. Isa Salim, your question.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Esther.
Yes, please, I wasn't having a question.
Okay, but I'm saying that I'll mark you. I'll score you if you're able to ask a question. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Please, I'm preparing to come back.
Okay, fine. I'm also waiting. Isa Salim. Yes, let's have your question. Christian says everything I thought was clear. Yes, if you don't have a question, then add a contribution, Christian, to get your mark. Isa, let's have your question or your contribution. Okay, we have Miss Lam too on the page.
So I think I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
And this is Adams, and it's going to be based on the last slide, the data collection procedures.
Yes.
I think during population and housing census, the motive or the rationale behind is to know the total individuals and structures we have in the country.
Yes.
But you can attest to the fact that when the exercise is ongoing, every structure can't be counted. So how do we then come up with the total number of structures or individuals we have in a country?
Oh, every structure was enumerated. Did you see some numbering on your building?
I did, and the next house I didn't.
No, it should have been. Because even my school
most
structure
times,
was enumerated.
Personally, I took part in the just ended population and housing census.
Okay.
And sometimes the enumeration area given is so complex in nature, so you can't locate, and we're told to move in a serpentine manner, like
yes.
a zigzag way of movement.
Yes.
You see, sometimes you pass by certain building, most structures were not numbered, and some also wanted to make their job easy. So
that's
I don't know if you are getting the concept.
I get you.
Yes.
So you see, these are lapses. Even though they've been trained to do that, they did not do it because they want the job to be easy. So it's a failure on the part of the field worker to do exactly what he's been asked to do. So like I said, in my case, when the enumerator came, the field worker came to my home. The appearance on her face did not show she actually wanted answers. It's as if she was angry and tired of the job she was doing. So she's just there to ask questions and leave. You see, which is a job which you are being paid for, and we need the data for national information. So if you come and you don't establish the right rapport, the respondent will not provide you the right answers, because I'm not sure whether you are a friend or an enemy. The fact that you've been sent by the country does not mean that I should just accept you. No. You need to establish a rapport. So these are some of the shortfalls that could come up. And for that very reason, there will be a need for us to fall more on GIS methods. Okay, methods which we use satellite images. That is what I'm saying. So the current methods we are having their own shortfalls, and we can make use of big data and these satellite images to work on some of this shortfall. Because if we have a graphical shot, a satellite image of the areas from area to area, then we can easily design your movements. In fact, we can even label all structures before field workers start going to the field. It can easily be done.
Okay, so my next question.
Yes.
After knowing the total number of individual structures, please,
Yeah.
what next? What's the usefulness of that data?
The individual structures. So
After the population and housing census has been conducted,
yes.
the data collected, what's the usefulness of it?
Oh, very useful. You see, now we know the number of household per every house. So if you want the average household, you have to find the total divided by the number of structures. That is the first statistic. Then again, in each structures, you see there was some information about number of children, those who attend school, educational level.
Yes.
We need those things to formulate policies on the number of school-going children, number of children who have dropped out of school, the number of youth in the country, the aged in the country, and all that, so that we can formulate eight specific policies, education-specific policies, so many policies in relation to what? The data we have collected from the national census.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so fantastic, Adams, for your questions. You get full marks. We are still waiting for, I think Josephine is here to speak. Issa Salim is here to speak. Islam is here to speak. Nura Panka is here to speak. Isaac Nyako is also here. Ofori Ebenezer is here. Priscilla Abila is here. Robert, what's your full name? Anyway, Robert is here. Samuel Ketia is here. And then so far, Bolo is here. We still have 10 students who have not reported to class.
Sir.
Yes, Miss Lam.
Sir, please, I want to ask if there is a required size assigned to an enumerator.
Required size assigned to?
Size, yeah. Assigned to an enumerator.
For the resource, the recent
for the data collection, yes.
Yes, I think was it Abdul who was involved? So you can give us more details.
Yes, Adam.
Adam, can you give us more details since you are on the field?
Okay, sir. So I think each enumerator is being assigned to a specified enumeration area.
Okay.
But for the size, I have no idea the size of the enumeration area, but what I know is we were all assigned to individual enumeration area. And I think in rough estimate, you should be able to count about 300 structures within that enumeration area. But when it comes to the size, I don't actually know the size. It depends. It varies as well. My enumeration area may differ from LAM.
Okay.
You see, we depending on the nature of the locality, we might have more structures in that locality than where I find myself. So I don't think there's a specified size allocated to an enumerator.
Okay.
That's the little I can say.
Okay, thank you, Adams. I think your answer is very clear. Let's take Salim's question. Salim.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question is, if the telephone interview.
Yes.
Are you going to call the person, like the person that you want to ask the question, going to call him and tell him that this date, this time, I want to ask you a question? Or is that when you just call him, you just start asking him the questions?
You need to, you see, you need to prior inform if it's a company.
Yes.
You see, and you want to interview them, you need to prior inform them. But you see, we are talking about official stats here. So which means that this field personnel may be doing this interview on a monthly basis. He's mandated by the government to do the interview on monthly basis or yearly basis, which means that those companies too are aware on monthly basis will be called by Ghana Statistical Service on this and this and these measures. You understand?
Yes, sir.
But there has been a pre-information communicated to them already. They are already aware.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, Nketia Samuel. Samuel, your hand is up.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I loud?
Yes, you are on.
Sir, am I loud?
Yes, you are
Yes,
loud.
sir.
We can hear you.
Sir, please. I didn't hear your initial introduction. But I want to find out about our structure. Hello, sir.
Yes, you want to find out
about the structure of the statisticians in the country. Is it that like the police service where we have an IGP appointed by the government, like the director of the Ghana Statistical Service, is it an appointee of government appointee, or it is a service? Because I often hear the other side arguing strongly that they are lying or they are not telling the truth of the state of the economy.
You see, it's not about, when we talk about official statistics, it's not about whether the person is being employed on a political basis or not. It's a whole system. It is it's a service. It is the service that has the golden stamp of the country to provide statistics for the country. So it doesn't matter who is there. That statistic is officially recognized, and it has to go through standards. There are standards which such data must meet before it is recognized as official statistics. So the work of the agency or that institution is to ensure that that standard is met right from the local to the district to the regional before national level. A lot of work is done before we accept that data at the national level to report. Yes, but what we usually do is, because politicians will always want to play with statistics. You understand? Sometimes these are some of the challenges of using official stats. There are situations where government will want some information manipulated just to fit what their policies they want to bring up, or certain measures which will be favor that government. There are other times.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that is what I have to say. So at times, you see, this whole thing is embedded in government political issues. So at times there are certain measures. So for example, at a point in time, we were advocating for month-on-month inflation, because as at 2010, 2009 and all that, we were only reporting on year-on-year inflation. Year-on-year inflation doesn't make sense. You see, the price of the item last year compared to the price of the item this year doesn't make sense. I mean, last year is far, far gone. We are in a new year. So a month-on-month inflation rate will give a true picture of how things are going up or down. But this is what people have not noticed. Because we are doing month-on-month, the inflation rate appears to be smaller, because now we are looking at it on a shorter period. You understand? So some are relevant, but because a lot of people don't even understand the indices, what inflation means, when they see 8% inflation this month and see 6% inflation next month, then it means inflation has reduced. No, it doesn't mean so. It only means that the rate at which the prices are going up has reduced. But don't forget the 6% is the 6% on the 100% plus the 8% previous month. So it is now 6% on the 108%, not 6% on the 100%. So these are some of the things that these politicians will always want to confuse us on. Good. I think Isa, your hand is still up. If you have a question, you can ask.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
And say,
Yes.
please, with the physical observation,
Yes.
like when you want to collect the data from a company, how
Yes.
will you use the physical observation? Let's
Physical
say
observation,
that's
sometimes we have the field supervisors. Okay.
okay.
Especially when you want information, it's very difficult to get information on accidents. So to get information on accidents in the manufacturing sector is very difficult. But if you have supervisors who go around and observe things, we are able to physically observe the number of accidents that take place.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So Lam, your question is noted. Your mark, I know you asked a question because of the mark. Okay. Okay, so Sophia, can we hear from you?
Sir, please, I want to ask the question.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I want to ask an enumerator is going, like maybe you have a targeted population, but when you get to the field, they are not like responsive. Can you also get like out of them, can you choose another population as the target population and go ahead with the census?
So here we are talking about, it's different when you are doing your own individual survey. Here we are talking about official stats. Official stats means you have been assigned to that area. Somebody else has been assigned to another area. So you can't go anywhere else.
Oh, okay.
That is why there is a need for training. In fact, everybody is ready to talk to somebody who is friendly. So if you are an enumerator and you get to the person's house and you don't know how to establish rapport, then the person is not willing to talk to you. You understand?
Okay.
But when you go there, you are very lively and you open up. I mean, with a chat, something which does not even relate to what you are doing. You can just go in jokingly. Hey, Charlie, this work is not easy. We've been working the whole day. You see, you've even created the atmosphere for everybody to know that you've actually been working for long. The person will even ask, oh, should I bring you water? Then you establish you get it.
Yeah.
The moment you establish that rapport, this person will bring you water, and then even if you don't take time, begin, oh, what questions are you here? This person will be willing to assist you to do your work. But if you go in, oh, I'm here to enumerate, can we start business? What is this? What is this? With a very straight face. People will also give you answers with a straight answer. And some answers they feel they don't trust you enough, they will not give you the correct answer.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you even in the disadvantage of the interview, you mentioned that sometimes with the direct interviews, there are sometimes you are bound to face maybe anger or irritation. And from the question Esther asked, where you are provoked, and maybe somebody, I am sure some statisticians are beaten in terms of their research work.
Yeah.
So this is saying that where you go and face problem, will you leave it and then maybe go and report for you to be given another section? That's what she's asking.
Hello,
sir.
The issue is no, nobody will give you another section. If it is if we are doing it on official statistics base, Okay, your assigned area is your assigned area. Now, if you are going to face a potential threat, okay, on a normal survey purpose, it is better you leave it. Why would you face a threat in the first place? Now, if that threat is bound to happen, maybe the person knows you, he's not in good terms with you, you are the one assigned to that area. Okay, I think some internal arrangements can be made. You could maybe
Okay.
yeah, there are supervisors, so you could report to the supervisor and another enumerator can do your work for you. It's possible. But if
Yes,
it had been on an individual survey, you were conducting your own survey and such a thing is bound to happen, that you can what? Select another respondent, but not in the case of when you are taking data for national and official statistics. It's a different ball game.
thank you, sir.
Good. Yeah, Adams, your hand is up.
So just a contribution to what my brother asked.
Okay.
And so instances like that, I think the supervisors will first engage the chieftaincy or like assemblymen and elderly people in such community,
Yes.
like community where mostly such acts takes place. For instance, during this just ended, some of my colleagues were giving enumeration area like Budumbram Liberia, which is known to be like that consists of violent people.
Yeah.
So first of all, the assemblymen and the chiefs will engage the people in the community and tell them that this period of time there will be an exercise, which is a population and housing census head count. So please, if you see any personnel come to your house to ask certain information, you should know that he or she was being sent by the government. You shouldn't say police. Unless the moment you say police, they might think otherwise. So government, and it's an exercise just to ensure that we know what the society lacks, so that we send the grievances to management, government, so they come and fulfill such problems in the area. So I think usually what they do is they engage the opinion leaders in the environment, engage the citizens and tell them ahead before the actual exercise.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for your specific contribution to the
Thank you, sir.
problem at hand. Now, Christian is asking, sir, I want to ask whether official statistics provides quantitative or qualitative information. The answer is, we said official statistics is numerical data. Then secondly, it says, and how to know if government's official statistics can be used in small, less known area. Now, the answer here is no and yes. Yes, in the sense that if I'm a businessman in a small area and I find the inflation rate on a food commodity, okay, to be going down, it's a business case for me to purchase more products. And then when the inflation rate goes up, I can sell to make my profit. So it can be applied. In a small area, the national statistic is based on a wide, coverage, okay? And then sometimes it does not reflect what happens at the district level. That is why there is a need, there is a gap between the statistics that is being produced currently and what can be done. We need to go beyond the national. I think these days they've started with the regional, which is a good step. Now they produce regional inflation rates, regional CPIs to know what the changes in prices on the regional level and for different products. Okay, it is on, but that one is also on national and regional level. It doesn't go all the way to the district level. So in that case, it may not reflect exactly what is happening at the districts, but it will reflect on the regional base and on the national base. But in personal terms, you can make use of the general statistics if it has to do with interest rates on loans, it affects everybody. So regardless of where you are, it will still what? Be applicable to you. I hope I've answered you, Christian. I can see 2 more messages. Then we have, okay, Christian says, Nura says, what is the name given to a person traveling on the census nights? We have the field personnel, or what do you call us, the enumerators, okay? Okay, I think on this note, if there are no questions, then it's been an interesting class. We want to wrap up. Right after class, I'll post the slides and the course outline to the course rep. And the video too, we need the password. I'm yet to be given the password and the access to the LMS. But once I do, your course outline, the slides, related material, and the video will certainly be on LMS for you. Okay, so Osei Bonsu is in class as part of our past band for today. Priscilla is also new in class. Priscilla Abila. I think we'll end. Nyako Isaac is fresh in class. Miss Crunchywa is also new in class, but hasn't asked a question. So we'll end today's class here.
She asked a question.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll end today's class here. I'll need your feedback tomorrow.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Isaac.
do we have handout?
I've asked the question.
Yes. Yes. So Isaac, you are on floor.
Okay, there's no Isaac, it's Samuel. So do we have?
So I wanted to ask
Samuel first.
I was going to find out whether we'll be giving handout, whether you give us handouts.
Handouts? No.
Handouts.
No, I'm not the handout type of lecturer. I prefer giving out all my material. So I'll give you all my soft copies and materials. Yes. Okay. Isaac.
Sir.
Yes.
So please, I wanted to ask if with the case of this double track and the LMS systems for studying nowadays, would the observation or field observation method be okay for data collection, or can that one be used to collect data for any official use?
Yes, field observations are also used for collection of data.
That's so concerning the LMS, how best students are satisfied with the LMS system of studying nowadays, and then the double track system. Can the field observation be?
No. You are going outside the concept of official statistics. Here is a topic you want to research as an individual or as a researcher. You can use any type of survey to do your studies, but whatever your conclusion is, it is not official statistics because you have not been approved by the government to take data on behalf of the government. So any data you take on your own, primary data, is not official stats. Don't forget, with official statistics, the data come from the field, go through rigorous scrutiny, and then finally are stamped before it is published out there. Once it is published, it is official statistics. So if it's not published data, that is not official statistics. If it's, like I said, even if it's an NGO or USAID or whoever that conducted the study and put out there, once it has not been approved by governments as their data, it is not official statistics.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's any question you can ask before I wrap up the class. So to that end, so thank you all for coming to class today. Hope to see you in class next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
All right.